Ahlan, it's me, Jack's son. Every day, approximately 10,000 people in the United States meet their unfortunate end at the beginning of death's gambit. This could be for whatever reason or another. Who's to say all of those deaths are natural or through the loss of bodily function? Well, nobody's saying that. For all we know, all 10,000 deaths could be a result of a new world order type deal sacrificing people in the name of research and development. YouTube, for context, I don't believe in any of that stuff, frankly, but my point is that those deaths could be a result of just about anything. Heart attacks, car crashes, gang shootings, government intervention, assassinations, or at the hands of a massively wealthy company that wants nothing more than to consume the freedom of the world and create all of it in their own vision. Curse you, bad dragon. I know what you're up to with your oddly shaped thingies and majiggies. Speaking of massively wealthy companies that want nothing more than to consume the freedom of the world and recreate all of it in their own vision, how does assassination sound? Yes, that's correct. I said assassination, and I asked how does it sound? Your answer is probably not very good, but hear me out. I'm going to ask all of you in the comments something. Those that look upon this video from below and seek wisdom in my actions, which you'll never find. And I mean you'll never find it because I have no wisdom whatsoever. And I mean you'll never find it because my wisdom score is about an 8, so that's a -1 modifier. That sucks. What is your favorite assassination plot? I'll go first. Mine is the story of Jody Plush and Jeff Doucette. The story is very anti-YouTube because of some things that Jeff Doucette did to a young Jody Plush, so I'm just going to let your imagination think of the details. So instead of the meat and potatoes, I'll give you the blueberry pie dessert instead. Jody Plush's father, Gary Plush, ends up shooting Jeff Doucette in an airport after he learns of where he's being transported by the police. This kills Jeff Doucette, and Gary is welcomed as a hero in his hometown. And even to this day, after he died, he's still considered a hero. That's commendable. A good runner-up would be the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, which is a direct cause for the creation of anime. That is a big steaming pile of pea soup that I really wish not to get into at this very moment so as to not bloat this intro up far longer than it already has been. But now that I've committed to saying that, I don't have a proper segue into the introduction of this game. So, yeah, it's time for a 14-year-old game about asses and men who like butts over boobs. I am lost. The game begins, and we are dropped into every religious person's worst nightmare, surrounded by faceless people with the dark voice of a shimmering man speaking to us. This is just the first glance at who we are and what we do, with some dark rambling saying something. I can't quite hear it. We move on to more fragmenting faceless creatures that could be considered human, and more of the white-robed fella that I haven't mentioned yet. We are playing a man in white robes. However, first and foremost, we are Desmond Miles, and we wake up as Desmond Miles. So it's a good thing our personality hasn't split and broken into a million different pieces yet. The company that kidnapped Desmond wishes to learn how to make the greatest Bloody Marys and convince the New York bartender to dive into the history of his DNA to figure out exactly how to do that. We have to use the Animus, not to be confused with Animals, which are the beast version of what can only be known as the Abominable Furry. The Animus is the ultimate in pro VR technology, rendering and projecting memories in 3D space. Oh, what I would do to go back and re-experience some things for the first time again. Like chocolate milk or, yeah, that's really all I can think about wanting to experience again. Everything else has had a negative that I don't really want to deal with. All right, I was going to say play Dark Souls again, but as it turns out, I became an uptight loser that can't stop talking about the game. Even now. For example, whenever someone mentions game difficulty or challenge runs in a game, I can't physically stop myself from mentioning how I beat all of the possible Soulsborne games with only my fists and at the lowest level possible. It hurt me to do it, but I didn't have a girlfriend or a large friend group for most of high school, so you can see why I say I didn't want to experience all of that again. Well, whatever the hell this boomer is saying is completely irrelevant to me at this point. Something memory, something can't access it, something have to go back further. Whatever the case, suddenly we become a white hooded dude in a crypt. Some bozo decided to get in our way, so of course I kill him. And then some other bozo thinks he's better than us and starts getting upset about how we've killed an innocent bozo. Yeah, he was pretty innocent, all right. You see, in this world, in my world, old people are illegal. Wrinkles deserve death. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. And so that is the first law of my land. Make sure to write that down, it'll be on the test later. However, After I give him some discipline, except not any discipline at all, we see a young man in a knight outfit. And little did he know, knight outfits were also illegal. That's law number 2, baby. 2 in 1 paragraph? I'm on a roll. I stabbed him with a hidden blade twice the size of my dick, multiplied by 7, and he died. Or maybe he was faking it. I forgot the golden rule of the zombie apocalypse. Always double tap. I leap down to assassinate the man in charge, but he stops me and throws me out of the room, locking my friends away for a very unnerving, more than likely sexual escapade. We get our first taste of parkour in the game that basically created or revolutionized how parkour works in a lot of modern games. I won't even be ironic or funny haha about this. The parkour in this game is very enjoyable when it works the 60 to 80% of the time it should. Ubisoft did a really good thing here. Proud of them. The game that I can guarantee not a single human being in the known or unknown universe knows at all whatsoever for any reason reveals that we are Altair, an Arab man without a ring finger on his left hand. I guess we can't get married then. Not that we need women in our life, or men. I don't judge here. Well, I do judge, but I'll let Altair get away with this one. Altair reports to the Grand Master of the Assassins, or the Hashashins, or the Assassins. And we get an earful about how we messed up, we're too prideful, whatever. I'm the legendary assassin Altair, so what do I care? We are attacked by Templars after getting our ass eaten by the boomer assassin, but it becomes necessary to ambush the great forces here ready to reclaim the golden testicle found alongside the Ark of the Covenant. Covenant? Yes, the great religious symbol, the golden testicle. This is where we're shown how to do a leap of faith, which is a move that is just too legit to quit. What, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in 2007 mode right now. I can't hear you from way over there in 2021. With some sick parkour, we're able to kill the horde of Templarian race of aliens with logs 15 times the size of my ragdolling ensues, which I love me a good ragdoll, and the Grand Dragon stabs us in the... Wait. What is on that side of the body again? It's been like 5 years since I last took biology. Oh, let's see. Left kidney, the spleen, the adrenal gland, the large intestine. Ah, right. Sorry, the left ovary. That's exactly what he went to stab on the male Altair. Oh ho ho, now it's back to Desmond Miles. That's right, Altair is dead. This game is over only 30 minutes in. With the chance to walk around, I immediately beeline for the room Desmond is staying in because I'm an introverted hermit who only wants to play video games all day. Sadly, there is no Xbox or PlayStation in there, and they don't even let me change my clothes. Thank goodness I only ever wear hoodies and jeans in real life then. After some rest, it's back into the Animus, and you were lied to like the stupid little babies you are. No, you know what? No. I'm sorry. I didn't really mean that. You are all beautiful little babies. Not that I'm into that kind of thing, but you know what? Let's just get back into the game so I don't accidentally commit a felony with my apology. That's right. Altair is alive. Ha! Whoever could have thought that? We have to redeem ourselves because all of our shit is taken away from us. Descending the ranks of the assassins, we lose our swords, our throwing knives, our short blade, even our ability to grab ledges. It is a good thing that skill was reliant on Altair's rank and not his physical abilities. It's time to find ourselves a traitor. A dumb, stupid traitor with the piss-poor strengths of a traitor. We have to call in a very important quote, do the do, and learn how to be an assassin. Eavesdropping, pickpocketing, punching town criers until they literally cry in the town. It's a fun gig we got going on, and we have to do this between every mission, it seems. Oh, also we have eagle vision, which is a supernatural power. Only those with concentrated levels of Isu blood. Wait, am I getting into lore junkie mode again? I'm sorry. Let me, back to business then. You know, mentioning the leap of faith, I just realized we only did it the one time. So the game offers us a new use of the leap of faith shortly after being given our assignment to kill 9 people. Yeah, who cares? Nobody's here to actually be an assassin. We're all here for the parkour. Let's be real. The game lets us do leap of faiths. Leaps of faith? With leap of faith being a proper noun, is it the Lego situation all over again? This game lets us do leap of faith. Now, see, that doesn't sound right either. I'm gonna call them lofts from now on, fuck it. The game lets us perform lofts at viewpoints indicated by circling eagles or falcons or hawks or peregrines or pelicans or pigeons or flamingos even. It's an eagle, by the way. I just started listing off birds because my brain went into overdrive mode while writing the script. Well, we get to the top of the viewpoint to experience our first in-game loft that isn't purely scripted, and I press right trigger and the jump button and... Huh, well that's odd. Maybe it was a bug. So I do it all over again. Climb the tower, synchronize memory, leap of faith, and Huh, okay. Well, maybe third time's the charm? We do what Tobuscus told us to do like a decade ago. After you synchronize, leap of faith. Okay, what the fuck is going on?
According to my research,
This game can't run on anything above 60 FPS if you want to be able to survive your supernatural loft powers. So I had to turn VSync on because this game starts with it off. I actually can't think of any other game that does that exact thing. I spent a lot of time roaming the Holy Land as an unreligious assassin man with a goal and a plan before arriving at Damascus. I use my ultimate ninja technique to blend in with a group of scholars that I share only robe color with before moving on. As I wander the street attempting to find targets to assassinate, I find a poor lonely beggar being bullied by a bunch of guys with swords. Truth be told, this guy isn't a beggar. And truth be told, I don't really care. Beggars don't get bullied is my third law. So I beat the ever-loving shit out of the people wearing night outfits that just so happen to be beating up a beggar. This is cause for capital punishment. And he thanks me for my wonderful and benevolent actions. After completing a certain amount of informant missions, I can buy a drink at the Assassin's Bureau of Specialized Murder Cases. We have to crash the party of a certain merchant lord and relay what information we learned about the case. We're given a white feather by the dweeb behind the counter before we can hightail our ass out of there, and he goes back to fashioning a dildo out of clay. My dumbass decides that this isn't an Assassin's Creed game, but instead a weaker, inferior Grand Theft Auto game, because I just end up running to my mission destination on the ground. Arriving at the soup ball of poor mercantile trade. What was I trying to say? Arriving at the soup ball of poor we run into Tahir. No. Tamir. His right-hand man, I think, betrays him on his delivery and decides to kill the shit out of Tamir kills the shit out of his right-hand man. It's odd then that I'm not allowed to just leap into action and kill him right here, considering that he dies out in the open anyway. For some reason, I run away thinking I'm going to be able to stealth kill him at all after he's seen me, which I can't. So I just end up hopping around with a target for a bit. But I end up killing him and I take him to the afterlife of computer programming. He rattles off some high horse morality, like how a politician says that they're in power for the good of the people rather than simply to make money. Yeah. Go back to pissing off the libertarians. Let me play my video games in peace. I just want to be a useless NEET already. After turning in the quest, we have to return to Al-Muhalim. But first, we must become Desmond once more. So if we need to see as Desmond in order to play the 3D spatial memory creation thing the Animus does, then if I Alt F4 while staring at the Animus screen, does that mean that Desmond's eyes were actually burned out of his skull and he's blind? No, that's a stupid ass question. Then we awaken the next morning and speak to the old ass Grandmaster about killing our target. That is a Pog champion moment because we get our first lick of redemption. A single rank restored and we're on our way to the next target. Also, we've officially gained the counter kill ability, which makes combat significantly easier and more enjoyable, so that's always a plus. Our first destination, well technically our second destination, is Acre, the blue-tinted city of the Templars, Crusaders. Well, they are Templar order, but they're Crusaders at the whatever. It is also the city of enemies that can counter you if you attack them for too long. That is a very unpog champion moment. For the next half hour, I punch, kick, slash, listen, slash again, hide, and parkour my way through Acre to reveal as much information about a mad doctor that I feasibly can. Turns out this particular doctor is very good at changing people's minds in a not so innocent medical way. You know what I'm saying, yeah? Well, he's batshit insane is what I'm saying. A man with working legs comes running out of the castle for help, and the crazy, obviously German doctor decides he's going to give him that exact help he asked for. He turns him into a man without working legs, and it actually shows them breaking his legs. Holy shit, that's more brutal than when my brother's arm got run over by my cousin riding a green machine through our backyard because he dared him to do it. I'm not even joking. It's with a swift and silent ease that we sneak into the castle and jab the doctor in the right ovary. He questions us about his children, but he spews more morality stuff at me. Yada yada, they're poor, sick, and homeless, so they should be taken in and experimented on in gross, immoral ways. It justifies my actions. Shut the fuck up, boomer. I only care about ball busting these old boomers, very literally, might I add, so I don't care what your morality stance is. Wiping Altair's signature cum feather on his bloody neck, we choose to run away from the 30-something guards tailing us. Thankfully, we have the braces of climbing +5, so we can escape them quicker. Wow, 2 D&D references in the same video, what the hell? All it takes is hiding behind a simple curtain for these stupid dumb idiots to lose me. Then it's time to report back to the king of the boomers at headquarters. I'm also just now realizing that I thought that Al-Mualim was the name of the headquarters, worse. The Grand Boomer tells us of mind-controlled plants, and Altair is curious as to why we don't just say, "Lol, we want peace, bro," which is a very valid question to be concerned about, considering that is their ultimate end goal. Whatever, I guess we have to rule through fear, huh? Because now it's time for Jerusalem. That's right, we're going to assassinate Jesus. No, not actually, we're not. We're not actually doing that. That was a joke. We take off for Jerusalem, and I decide to grab the last couple of viewpoints on my way there. In fact, these viewpoints are crucial. Jerusalem is probably the most recognizable city in the Holy Land, by name at least. It also has a green hue to it, which I'm not sure the validity of that. If anyone out there is from Jerusalem, let me know if a sickening foam green just exists over your city, or even just your neighborhood. God, I can't look at the city without feeling a weird sense of nausea. It's like when my cat pukes on the carpet twice in the same night, and I wake up at 7 a.m. groggier than an Irishman at 7 p.m., and then I have to clean it up. The smell is just the worst possible thing to smell first thing in the morning. Well, I can't smell the green hue, but it's the feelings that are the same. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Probably not, but live and learn. After climbing the first viewpoint and enjoying our lack of dying to extreme blunt force trauma upon impacting the hay carts after a loft, I initialize my semester plans by demanding the dean of the community college give me back my money for only doing half of a semester. He refuses, and instead demands that I kill the board of education if I wanted the money so bad. He thinks I won't. He even shoots arrows full of pain, torture, and debt into them if they try to stop him with the use of his special bow he named government subsidies. Only through role-playing as an anti-establishment hooded marauder with the intent to save his anime waifu body pillow at the end of the story am I able to succeed. He traps me in a warehouse with his goons, but using my supreme dick-sucking skills, I narrowly avoid the toughest of conflicts. Actually, the toughest of conflicts comes later, much later, but the whole situation ends with a swift blow to the body part somewhere, and we try to clean up his blood with a feather-shaped rag. Desmond Miles reawakens in the clutches of the evil group of whitecoats, otherwise known as the French. Somebody snuck into my closet that has nothing but towels and pillows in it and left me a 4chan link to a thread that says, "If you don't reply to this post, your mother dies in her sleep." It being 2007, I'm scared out of my wits and just have to reply, but I never end up doing so. Guys, I'm scared I might have gotten Desmond's mother killed. What do I do? The next day, it's more Animus time. We return to Damascus to assassinate more idiots. Well, one more idiot. This time, we have to go after a pretty hated figure in the Holy Land that is fat, and even more ugly. Are we sure this guy is an American? Sounds like an uptight rich dad in California to me. We're going to an actual party this time. This isn't a joke. I'm actually popular for once in my life. What makes it all the worse is that we're expected to drink wine out of a disgusting stone and iron statue. Can you believe how much tetanus somebody could get from drinking out of that? That brings us to my fifth law, my fourth law. I think it's my fourth law. It is illegal to serve alcohol contaminated with tetanus while being fat and ugly. Very specific law, yes, but you have no idea how often it comes in handy, considering how absolutely horrendous the piping is in a lot of cities across America. It's the Crusades. We all make sacrifices here, and I had to sacrifice 6 women and 53 women who identified as and thought they were children in order to be accepted into this society. I would have sacrificed men too, but they'd beat me up every time I tried, so I couldn't go very far with that. For his crimes against my assassino state, the fat, ugly man dies a pretty easy death, even if he is painful. Yeah, I wrote that. Whoa, I just realized that statue is a woman. That's even worse. Law number 5.1 is that no women shall be portrayed in a manner that is anything but realistic, and there's no way a real woman exists in my gamer world. Another illegal act by this baron of breaking the law. I wish I could have punished him sooner. Just as I'm running away, successful in my endeavors to rid the world of more criminals, my game crashes. Well, shit, now I have to redo all of it. So, let's go through it all over again. Wake up in the morning, gotta thank God. Parkour across the rooftops like a simp desperate to save Amaranth from the bowels of Twitch hell. Attend a bitchin' party that I probably wasn't even invited to. Watch a belly dancer morph and twist in inhuman ways. See people die and think it's strange they all drink from the same fountain at the same time. Kill a man. Escape. Speak to Al Bumalim, gain a rank back, and next target time. And it's back to the sunny and beautiful Aker, where blue hues grow, and the Templar does roam, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Here is where my elite fighting skills really end up mattering, because enemies start breaking my guard, like I'm a not Caucasian in Britain after they lost to Italy due to 3 not Caucasians missing goals. It's coming, Rome. In our attempts to deter the Crusades with our very persuasive 2-foot piece of probably bronze, it is time to hunt down a weeaboo that hasn't realized he's actually a weeaboo. Much like all other weeaboos, He is destined to die. What makes him a weeaboo? His yee-ass anime haircut. If you were to take a melted Hershey's chocolate bar and rub it all over his head, it'll look better than that dumbass haircut he's got going on. After committing anti-weeaboo discrimination and pro-weeaboo hatred justice, we turn into the biggest pussy in the universe and run our way out of there. At this point, it is a bit odd to me that a bunch of crusaders in full plate armor can parkour as quickly as, if not quicker than, a master assassin trained in the art of parkour at the peak of his dexterous abilities. On top of that, not only did I eventually escape them, but I end up leaping into a hay cart right in front of the blindest crusader in the world. But we end up regrouping for the post-murder assassin orgy in the bureau with the big booty bitches of the Holy Land, and we return to Mal Awalim. For all of that, we get extra throwing knives back, yay. I will have you know, I used throwing knives once, and I fucked up using them, so I never used them again in this playthrough. I can't even find where I used the throwing knives. I just remember calling the game a shithead when the throwing knife hits somebody's skull and didn't immediately kill them. But then again, throwing knives aren't a one-shot kill, so touche game, touche. Throwing knives aside, off to Jerusalem we go, but literally nothing of interest happens between when I get there and when I actually start the mission, which is about 30 to 40 minutes of content I don't have to cover. Honestly, that's the worst feeling ever. After picking up the white feather of the big titty angel bitch around the corner, we have an execution date to go on. The guy in charge of this execution starts talking mad shit for being in throwing knife distance, but remember, I don't use them like at all. So I guess his mad shit talking is viable for now. His guards take down a couple of Sigma males who go against the crowd's beta desires, proving that they're mildly competent in what they do. So naturally, I'm able to parkour onto the stage and stealth attack the schmuck in front of the entire crowd and all of the schmuck's guards. They really do be kind of competent, huh? Wow, that was a quick mission summary. That took about twice as long as I usually last during sex. But as a Shrigma male, I derive very little enjoyment out of sex because my brain is expanding by the infectious fungus seeding into it. It's not too often you're faced with a stark realization that your Shrigmality is far superior to a video game. Now it's on to Al-Mualim to showcase our fungal infectiousness. Finally, he shows us what the golden testicle looks like, and he holds it in his palm as if he were a little baby kit. I just referred to the golden testicle as a he. Yes. What you gonna do about it? I don't have a witty joke about it. That's just how he holds it, I'm gonna be honest. Actually, it isn't even a golden testicle yet. It's more like a silver testicle. He explains that it has the power of God and anime on its side, and before things can get too crazy, he gives us 2 more targets. First, we are heading to Lady Damascus and her big vampire demon tits. Wait, I think that's the wrong game. After climbing some towers and successfully gathering all of the possible information that we can by beating up Jesus impersonators on the streets, I struggle to assassinate 4 measly guards due to the eyes of the Lord, RN Jesus, himself glaring down at me as I meander my way across the front of his church. Every time he gets an eye on me, more guards appear to take my ass, hang it upside down, and turn me into pulled pork. Not that I let that happen, but I killed significantly more people here than I ever have in the previous missions of the game. This isn't the end of increasing murder numbers though, because Akur will bring a new level of pain. While we're still in the sandy houses and temples of dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge, it's high time we're actually on our way to assassinate someone more meaningful. I wonder what law we're going to find broken today. Ah, yes, this guy's guilty of breaking law number 21, reminding me of the days when I had to read Fahrenheit 451 in 10th grade and write 3 entire reports all on my own about it. It turns out that what we have to do is actually hunt down one guy among like 6 of them. They all look and dress the same. Only one of them having a significant lack of facial hair really helps me out at all. At least we'll know that Babyface over there will survive. After assaulting one, I find out that I was wrong in my assumption of which of these tier 3 simps is the one I have to murder. On my second assassination attempt, however, I find out that I have now chosen correctly. And door number 3 was not a goat that looked like it was going to die of sepsis, but instead a goat made of golden butter, topped with syrup. My only question for the host of this game is, where are the fucking pancakes, bro? But he decides to sprint away at top speed. I, of course, give chase, passing several other fake nerds. I also end up accidentally stabbing an innocent, but then I realize that she's a fake woman, and that's breaking law number 5.1. Never forget the laws. It isn't until one of my vigilante friends stops the nerd that I give him a type of insertion that only porn stars are used to getting. I guess the nerd label for this guy is rather fitting, considering, yeah, okay, no, I'm not doing that joke. That was, no, oh boy. We return to Al-Mualim once more. Maulim. Once more he tells us that we must murder someone. One final man, according to him. And this is where all bets are off. All grievances come to fruition. All medium rare steak Puritans are given well done steaks and forced to eat them, or else they get their tongues cut out. In short, I end up cutting out my own tongue because parts of this area are really annoying. I'm just going to fast forward real quick. Just give me a second. Hold on. Almost there. Yep, just a little further. Ah, there we go. If you plan on playing this game, heed my warning. Do not do this thief mission before you do the nearby informant assassination quest. This brought me so much agony and made me want to take a ride on a roller coaster, Final Destination 3 style, preferably in the most gruesome and painful way possible. Killing these Templars brought me so much trouble because a numerous amount of guards would patrol the area due to there being dead bodies. 5 retries later, I finally reached the number of people killed to probably be considered religious genocide of some form or another. But it's like the 12th century, so the Geneva Convention's creator was just a hope for children in a man on the front lines of the Crusades at this point. Bet I probably killed that guy. So canonically, the Geneva Convention might never be a thing in the Assassin's Creed universe. Considering the pure ass fuckery that happens in video games a lot, I think that might be for the best. Our job here is to murder a man who breaks law number 192. Sailing on a ship when you don't self-identify as a pirate is the height of cowardice and therefore inalienably wrong. Consuming the cum feather once more, we begin our ascension to the highest law in the land by stabbing and murdering all those who are above us. So by definition, we are at the top. We never moved from our pile of cow shit in the barn we have to sleep next to, but nobody else is higher than us, so technically we are at the top. The man murders a poor Templar priest because he wears a white hood, thinking he's an assassin in disguise. Little did he know, he was actually a massive racist in disguise. Well, actually, him killing the priest means that was a good choice in the context of that joke. Let me retry that. Little did he know, he was actually the only person who isn't a massive racist in disguise. So we have to punish him for his wicked deeds and pro-racism values, but mostly because he attempts to flee on a ship without a pirate license in hand. After we spontaneously teleport onto his ship with the power of editing magic, he sprints away at mock Jesus, fitting for his religious background, and in an attempt to prove that he wasn't attempting to be a seafarer without a pirate license, he remains on dry land. I'm not fooled by this hooligan trickery, and I kickflip into him and end his life then and there. I'd say he was a poor guy, but he doesn't deserve the sentiment for the wicked crimes he's committed. Disgusting. After killing him, we wake up once more as the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Del Negro in his hit role as Cousin Brian in The Sopranos. Yeah, that's right. I used a celebrity lookalike app in order to figure out who Desmond looks like just for that joke. The real joke here is that the lookalike app didn't even bring up Francisco Randez, the guy who Desmond was modeled after. That's top tier comedy right there. As we sleep, we see nightmarish visions of words written on a wall, and if you look closely enough, you can recognize the same colors and creases of Desmond's boring ass wall above his head. Makes it look better and far more pleasing to the eye, despite the vague doomsday-esque feeling one could derive from it. It's better than Desmond going crazy and rubbing his shit all over the walls to imitate the same feeling, just in a unique manner. Anyway, ignore the real world problems, much as I'm doing by playing this game and making this video. We have another assassination to follow through with. Al-Mualim tells us some yada yada nonsense about freedom and liberty, stuff that I'm not ready to mentally absorb as I continue to be on the lower scale of game skill. Instead of becoming smarter, I would rather become harder, as my dick grows merely at the thought of finalizing my murder schemes to reach the top. And here, once again, despite being the final exploration mission of the game, I find nothing of interest in my recording. A few mishaps in parkour maybe a couple of fights gone wrong, but I don't die, nor do I experience pain the likes of no man has ever seen. I just end up on the wrong side of a funeral. And by wrong side, I mean I die here, very horrendously, to the hands of a woman. I just wish it was by strangulation of her thighs instead of stabbing of her sword. What's worse is that my game crashed and my footage of this mission corrupted just as I died. So I had to record the entire mission all over again. The footage to that joke would have given it a lot more credit. Well, we've been duped. Memed on, bamboozled, smeckledort, fooled, tricked, jested. Robert is not here at all. Is that how you say his name in French? Robert? Robert is not here at all. Our target is somewhere else. So we must suit up, sit down on our high horse, and hightail it out of Jerusalem and all the way to Arsuf? I'm not sure how to say it, as I'm horribly American in my monolingualism. It's my superpower. But here there is a fight. A big fight. A war, if you will. But I won't, because war isn't a real thing considering I murdered the guy whose ancestor would define war in the Geneva Convention. At the end of this gauntlet of mayhem, I find the Templar Army. Get it? Templar Army? And I have to fight Robert De Niro in order to show God favors me. And what do you know? Not only do I kill his buddies, but I throw him to the ground and assassinate him lickety-split. He reveals we've been a pawn pawn in a masterclass game, and so we must return to Al-Muhalim. Ruh-roh, we've awoken as Desmond Miles once more. The old scientist, who has broken the law that states being old is illegal, by the way, tells me that my assassin friends have arrived. I don't remember having any friends, let alone assassin friends. He forces me to listen to them die before telling me that all of the assassins are fucking dead. Well, that sucks, but I didn't ask, so his opinion is moot. Plus, he probably uses an anime profile picture on YouTube, like Goku or Ichigo, maybe Itachi. Arriving back into the world of memory and memory, it appears we've been tricked once more. By my own laws, I realize that the reason why Al-Muhalim has worn a hood and a large coat for the entirety of the game is to hide the fact that he indeed has broken our number one most important law. Being old is illegal, and I must insert my cold blade into his heart to trigger what can technically be called a heart attack because the heart does stop. In that regard, I am nothing more than a silent force of nature with no guilt on my conscience. He forces us to fight all of the people we've already killed as if he were trying to make us feel guilty or something. Yeah, right. I'm immune to guilt. You poor excuse for a walking fish barrel full of porcupines. He forces us to T-pose as he speaks some kind of nonsense before we finally fight. What do you expect of this fight though? He's a criminal for being old and I murderize him. All he wanted was peace, but I'm starting to think he just wanted a piece of Altair's ass. The golden testicle wielded once by the insane old man known as Al-Muhalim turns out to be incredibly powerful. It becomes a map. A map of what, you might ask? Well, a map of the world. Are you stupid? What else would the map be of? Then we wake up as Desmond once more. The company that kidnapped us has won. Desmond is kept prisoner until they secure what they need. It's a good thing that Desmond suddenly obtains a supernatural power thanks to existing in the animus for too long. He's a weeaboo gone right. Unlike those trying to spirit bomb after watching Goku charge that shit up for 2 whole episodes, trying their hardest to justify the idea that Dragon Ball Z has any good or enjoyable writing at all. You only like it for the fight scenes. Now a whole new game begins, and I walk into Desmond's holding cell to find a bunch of writing on the wall. Whoa! It's like I already knew it'd be there for some reason. Perhaps a vision, or maybe having played this game before. And from there we have to... Oh shit, it's over. Okay, well, I guess that is the end of Assassin's Creed. We created the assassins, and with that it's time to move on to the review. Assassin's Creed is the first game in the Assassin's Creed series. I mean, that's pretty apparent considering it's called Assassin's Creed without anything following it. Though there have been some IPs that disregard that organizational rule entirely. I'm looking at you, Evil Dead and Doom. I'm looking at you. It makes my deep desire to maintain organization in mundane and pointless things really hit me deep in my soul. Then again, there is also a side of me that just doesn't care, so it really depends on the day. Let's get into the first section before I take too long and start rambling about inane somethings like I usually do in conversations in real life. Oh, also spoilers. Skip here to skip the spoilers so you aren't spoiled about the things involving spoilers. Yeah. I wanted to reach into the mysterious hat of mystery and grab a piece of paper with one of the 4 categories on it in order to choose which one I would do first. But truth be told, I forewent that idea when I realized that Assassin's Creed introduces the beginnings of quite possibly one of my favorite stories in all of gaming. Yes, I would even personally, don't crucify me, personally rank it above Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, but solely for the reason that I more enjoy the characters of Altair, Ezio, as well as their entire lineage all the way up to Desmond Miles, as opposed to John and Arthur and yeah. Speaking of modern day and Desmond Miles, that's exactly where we start and who we are. We are Desmond Miles, a bartender, kidnapped by the organization known as Abstergo in order to access the ancient memories of our DNA to find out one thing and one thing only: the locations of the ultimate chicken nugget cooking recipe. They are seeking the locations of these techniques in order to attain ultimate power and create peace throughout the world in a weird sort of evil organization billionaire corporation way. Imagine if Jeff Bezos were a real person and decided to collect very powerful and absolutely 100% real mystical objects with the power of God to use them to create freedom through order and discipline. Actually, that's just communism. Though technically that's not fully revealed for a few games. The 2 in charge of Desmond post-kidnapping are Dr. Vidic, I forgot his first name, and Lucy Stillman, both in charge of a machine known as the Animus, which takes your living DNA and accesses its genetic memory, an imprint of the past, so to speak. That brings a question to my head, and I'm very sorry. If you were to ejaculate on the Animus, does that mean the memory that you see can technically be classified as a really messed up porno? And can you experience the kiss-kiss times of your ancestors as a result? We play as Altair ibn Lahat during the Third Crusade, might I add. We are neither on the side of the Christians nor the Muslims, and instead we are on the side of Sigma Male al-Mu'alim, his mentor at the Assassin's Guild. Take note of Altair not having a left ring finger. The lore behind that is that the hidden blade runs the risk of cutting off your left ring finger, or right ring finger even. And so cutting it off like the absolute barbaric savage that you are gives you dedication to the creed and an easy path for your blade. Altair runs into a bit of pride-induced trouble, fucking up a mission all because he thinks himself better. I mean, not to brag, but I fucked a few things up in some missions in video games because I thought myself better. I'm basically Altair at this point. After being scolded, he has to assassinate 9 individuals, all of whom are members of the Templar Order and seeking an Apple of Eden, which is a very dangerous device with the power to control people's minds and bodies. The 9 individuals are Tamir, Garnier Fructis, Talal, Abul Nuqad, William V, Marquess of Montferrat, Maj Adin, Master Sibrand, Jubair al-Hakim, and Robert de Sablé. I don't know what's worse, the fact that the big baddie we're chasing is French, or William V's haircut. Did I call him William V or William V? God damn it. After hunting down Robert at the very end of the game, we figure out that he actually worked alongside al-Mu'alim to achieve possession of the apple. And by we figured it out, I mean he tells us to our assassin face. So after killing him in honorable combat, we have to hunt down al-Mu'alim and stop him in his tracks, which we do. The Apple of Eden reveals the locations of every piece of Eden around the world, and Dr. Vidic reveals that the company he works for, Abstergo, is the Templar Order resurrected in the modern era. Truth be told, I could have put that together myself, buddy, but thanks for boomer-splaining it to me. The game ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, with Desmond remaining imprisoned by Abstergo. However, he does obtain eco-vision due to staying in the Animus connected to his ancestry for too long, and unveils a warning of a catastrophic event that will decimate humanity. This just so happens to line up with the real-life world-ending catastrophe on December 21st, 2012. I'm sure we all remember the world being destroyed then. The story itself sets up a remarkable series of games, though this storyline in the first game really only extends between Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 3 and every game in between. Spoilers, technically, but you already knew that, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. I hereby give the story of Assassin's Creed the first a 3 Apples of Eden out of 4. While yes, the story is very interesting and does set up a great storyline to come, I can't exactly give it the best score simply because it's a very simple story of revenge and pride and betrayal. The ending is a pretty great twist that you might not see coming unless you throw predictions left and right like a guy who ends up watching movies only to talk throughout the entire thing. AC Firstborn is the game that more or less created an impressive blank slate for future stealth games to come. It's an action-adventure game at its core with open-world elements as well. We are Altair, the master assassin. Well, actually, he's not exactly a master assassin at that point. In fact, he's more like a novice assassin, or a beginner assassin, or a new blood assassin. He loses a lot of ranks and it's hard to keep track, but he's really fucking good at what he does. Well, not on this playthrough since I'm playing him. We have to execute orders to assassinate members of either force of the Third Crusade in order to attain what we are told is peace. Our mentor, Al-Mu'alim, sends us after all of these names, and between each mission, we gain a rank. Each rank grants us abilities and gear that we may use them in the missions to come. These missions consist of seeking out information on the target that we have to assassinate, as well as partaking in small side objectives to unlock escape routes such as vigilantes or scholars. The types of information missions involve assassination target, market stall destruction, rooftop racing, pickpocketing, eavesdropping, beating up poor people for information, etc. In between mission objectives, we can attain additional memories, which gives Assassin's Creed one of the worst diseases to ever exist to a man like me. Collectibles. Accursed collectibles from the depths of open world hell sat in front of a man who wants nothing more than to collect everything he sees and complete as many objectives as he can. The game introduces social stealth with the social stealth indicator that tells us how conspicuous we are to the guards of the city. We can blend into crowds, sit on benches, hide in rooftop tents, hide among haystacks, and in hay carts. Altair was trained to be the ultimate pansy. As we hide, we gain synchronization, which is the connection between Desmond and his ancestors' memories. At full synchronization, he is basically Altair, and at 0, we are, quote-unquote, dead. By all accounts, desynchronized from the proper events of history. So technically, you can do a no-damage run of Assassin's Creed without needing to avoid getting hit, because it's always Altair at 100% health, and him getting hit or killing innocents is merely the memories being lost in the Animus before Desmond is put back into the proper synchronization. Additionally, we have access to Eagle Vision, a unique ability granted by the blood of the Isu, an ancient group of godlike beings. Altair, and by extension Desmond, have this blood inside of them, thus granting them a unique sixth sense. The power allows people to naturally know how people and things relate to them, so no deception allowed. To Altair, the master assassin, there is no such thing as being hunted down by an assassin. I guess it's just the ultimate safeguard against being killed by that which the possessor is. Blue highlights indicate allies, white highlights indicate neutrality to Altair. Red means foes, and gold is the assassination target. With a significant importance to modern-day third-person games involving parkour, and even as being a huge factor in pretty much every parkour game, I'd be remiss not to say that Assassin's Creed is one of the pinnacles of third-person adventure games. However, I am indeed remiss because it isn't. It's great, lovely, astounding, and the start of a wonderful series of games that I hold very near and dear to my childhood heart. I say that about just about every game I played as a kid, so ignore that sentence for credibility's sake. I must tell you, however, this game is incredibly janky. The movement doesn't work sometimes, the orientation of the control stick messes up, sometimes it'll target the wrong person in combat, or you'll have a person highlighted to assassinate, but suddenly you assassinate the guy behind him. When it all works, it is absolutely an enjoyable game, and the parkour is possibly among, if not the best. But it perhaps works about 6 to 8 times out of 10. So because of that, I give Assassin's Creed's gameplay a solid 2 social status icons out of 4. Jank, but enjoyable. And I really can't help but love the gameplay, no matter how aggravating it might be sometimes. There were moments where I felt myself want to give up because I never stopped jumping between the wrong windows, or Altair refused to climb the proper pieces of architecture, but overall it's fun. Alright, I'm not gonna lie. This game is dated, and you can see it. Facial animations are a little wacky, Altair has no emotion in his face, at least his lips move when he talks. It is interesting to note that both Altair and Desmond Miles have the same facial model, Francisco Randez, which leads more credence to them being related. It's quite a large gap in time in how they're related, being about 900 years or so apart, and it was probably done to just save on money, but nevertheless cool. When it comes to actual character models, there is a significant distinguisher between each faction, as well as noticeable differences between ranks in each faction. You have the Crusaders, who are wearing their typical knightly garments with a surcoat having a red cross on it, and chainmail armor, and the Saracens on the other side with their tough armors and a turban atop their head. Additionally, you also have the Assassins wearing varying types of white-robed garments with equipment on their waists or wrists, or perhaps their prison pocket if possible. The graphics are indeed quite dated, though they still hold up rather nicely if I do say so myself. And I am saying things, I've been saying things for quite a while now, and if you didn't know that, you must not have been watching or listening. My point is, the game looked great for the time, but holds up to this day. When it comes to the world itself, Assassin's Creed has a pretty significant amount of open world aspects to it. It's this reason that Ubisoft Montreal had to actually create interesting and unique environments. Well, as unique as the Holy Land in the 12th century could get, really. Masyaf, the town where the Assassin's Guild lies, is very simple and somewhat poorly put together. Not in the sense the developers were lazy, but intentionally poorly put together. No complex footpaths surrounded by buildings or market stalls sitting out in the way for civilians to pass by and stop at. The castle holding the Guild of Assassins, even more impressive, though a large majority, and I mean a large majority, of it is useless space made to make it all look bigger. I haven't said a joke in a while, so imagine I said something funny and add the word cum, penis, stupid idiot, or some kind of political joke accurate to the 12th century to it. Thank you. Then comes the Holy Land in between the city. It isn't all too intriguing, and if I'm being absolutely, totally, 100% dishonest, I love it all, and it's very interesting to explore. Okay, now that I've blatantly lied to you, let me tell you the truth for a change. I didn't explore a lot of it. The game forces you to explore the holy in-between lands between 2 or 3 missions, then gives you the option to just teleport to the Assassin's Bureau in each town once you actually discover them. Damascus and Jerusalem look relatively similar due to their origins being much older than Acre's. The developers aided the differentiation in the visual styles of these cities by putting a color hue over each one. Damascus is an orange hue and Jerusalem has a green hue. Acre's is significantly different because it is a city made out of brick and mortar rather than old stone and wood. Oh, also it has a blue hue to it, if you couldn't possibly tell at all for any reason whatsoever. And truth be told, that's all I really feel the need to cover in this section. And so I would like to give Assassin's Creed's graphics a wonderful 2 Holy Lands out of 4. It isn't the best, far from it actually, but to this day, it all holds up well enough to look wonderful and not have to worry about everything falling apart. Okay, I'm really bad at sound and music things, so I'm gonna wing it and I might be coming up with complete and utter bullshit, but my score will be accurate to what I think about it all nonetheless. First and foremost, I must get sound effects out of the way. I enjoy the sound effects a lot. The sounds of the animus, the footstep sounds, the sounds of combat, the sounds of injecting your blade into the neck of an individual. I'm especially privy to the sounds of footsteps. I don't know what it is exactly, but being able to hear footsteps as I run alongside the sound of minor jingling of equipment makes me cool. Quite menacingly, might I add. It's always fun to slowly walk around with the sounds playing as I do so. Very peaceful. Next up is the voice acting. It's all decent. That's all it is. It's just decent. Altair has no real emotion in his voice. Al-Mualim has a nice, though pretty stereotypical voice for an old man in a video game. The French people are French, the Arab people have Middle Eastern accents, the English people have British accents. It all fits well for the nationalities, ethnicities, etc. It all works for why it needs to work. And lastly, but not leastly, the music, for the perfect trifecta of sound and sound-related bits and baubles. Composed by Jesper Kyd, the soundtrack features 11 tracks. Most, if not all, have a very gruesome and edgy feeling to them. The reason I say not all is because, well, truth be told, I don't exactly remember a couple of the longer tracks. The one in particular that I don't remember is called Access the Animus, and apparently sounds like what you're listening to for this section right now. I'll probably recognize it as soon as I listen to it, put it in the video, but otherwise, yeah, no, definitely gone from this broken, malformed, smooth brain of mine. The rest of the music, though, is very intriguing and enchanting, giving a very medieval vibe to the whole game. Very gothic, with some Latin chanting in there for the background vocals. Frankly, a nice sounding soundtrack. Nice sounding track. Nice soundtrack sounding soundtrack. Too bad I'm absolutely horrendous with musical jargon, and could probably do better on a math test if I was suddenly quizzed on all of the things I learned in like 9th grade. I'll give this soundtrack a good look in 2 assassin symbols out of 4. Well, yes, I did enjoy it. I can't find myself playing the game solely to listen to the soundtrack. All things considered, it is simply good, and it fits the theme and feeling of the game itself. Now, if I'm calculating this right, it seems it's high time for a final rating on this bad mother trucker. If my calculations serve me properly, it appears that the final rating for Assassin's Creed is all mathed up and ready to go. So, without further ado, it looks like Assassin's Creed runs like a dream. All in all, a very fun experience, enjoyable, lovable, and very clearly the developers had a love for this IP but didn't exactly know how to execute all of the necessary components to make it the perfect game. It's a damn good thing they kept going then, because the next 2 games are fire, but that's the future for you. I certainly hope you enjoyed your stay. Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite game. Maybe not my top 10, but definitely in my top 50. Maybe even in my top 100, since we're talking in the first Assassin's Creed game. And with that, you know what to like, subscribe, comment, like, comment, maybe subscribe. Have I asked you to like the video? Have I already done this end of video bit before? Basically, do the YouTube stuff. My name was Jack, and it always has been. And remember, nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Per usual, do your best to always
just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Stay lucky.